Hello, everybody. Well. Here we are back in Oakland, California, on the West Coast of the United States. And before I say anything else, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you so much for the most recent people who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you for all of the faithful and the mainstays from early on who trekked with me on my recent trip to Eretz Israel. It was a great trip. It's never really ever long enough. But you commented often. You kept me laughing. And you also encouraged me when you heard me out of breath climbing some of those hills. I also left 11 pounds behind in the land of Israel. So fret not for those of you who have not yet made the trip. Be'ezrat Hashem, with the help of the Most High, after Sukkot in October, I will be returning to Israel with a group of people. And we will spend a heavy amount of time up north in the Galilee area and beyond. And yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll contact me and say, hey, I want to go. If not, I'm going to take you with me the same way as I did this time. So, if it's possible, I'd like to steal a moment from you to talk to you about the heart of the Most High. The heart of the Most High, the heart of His Mashiach, okay, but also the heart of His Tanakh or His Torah. You know, we have five books in the Torah: Bereshit, Shemot. In the middle, we have Ikra. Then we have Bamidbar and Devarim. That middle book, okay, one in the middle, that middle book called Vayikra, and he called, is what it means. We also call it in English, we call it Leviticus. It is the center book of the Torah. Now, you know, I use a lot of terminology and I always assume that people know what it is that I'm talking about. So a little brush up. Every week in synagogues around the world, normative, messianic, and others, a portion of the Torah is read every week, and each portion is called a parasha. Parasha, a feminine word, parasha, it's singular, and in its plural form, it's parashiot. Parasha, one portion, parashiot, multiple portions. And if you counted up all of the parashiot in the Torah, and you wanted to find the one right in the middle, guess what you would find? You would find Leviticus, of course, the middle book of the Torah, but you would find Leviticus chapter 19, known as Kedoshim. Known as Kedoshim. Okay, but what does that word mean? So for those of you who are familiar with Hebrew and or already learned, or you're in the process of learning, if it sounds like kadosh, you are absolutely correct. Kadosh, the Hebrew word for holy. Okay, holiness as a state of being is the Hebrew word kedusha. Kedusha. It is the state of being holy, separate, or set apart. Okay, for the purposes of the Most High, I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. I want to read you a little something from Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1 and 2, and then finally verse 37 of that same chapter. Listen to this. Vaidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And the Most High spoke to Moshe, or to Moses, and he said, Daber el kol adot bnei Israel ve'amarta alehem. Speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, Kedoshim tihiyu, Kedoshim tihiyu, holy ones you shall be. Ki kadosh ani, Adonai Elohechem. Holy ones you shall be because I am holy. I am Yud-He Vav-He, your Elohim. Check out verse 3, okay? That's a heavy statement, all right? A lofty statement. And, you know, the Most High, you know, Retzini, serious. He's always Retzini. But when he's really serious, okay, he either repeats what he says or he ends it with the tag, Ani Adonai Elohechem. You know, I am Yud-He Vav-He, your Elohim. Notice the next verse. Ish imo ve'aviv tira'u ve'et shabtotai tishmeru ani Adonai Elohechem. Every person, every man, his mother and his father, you shall revere them, and all of my Sabbaths you shall keep. I am Yud He Vav He, your Elohim. Wow. He has a thing for honoring father and mother. Kind of fitting that today on the American civil calendar, it's Mother's Day. Verse 37. Verse 37 reads, Ushmartem et kol hukotai, and you shall guard and keep all of my statutes, ve'et kol mishpatai, and all of my judgments, va'asitem otam, ani Adonai Elohechem. You will keep them all, or you will revere them all, right? And you shall do them. The most important part, va'asitem otam, and you shall do them. Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am Yud He Vav He, your Elohim. Listen, brothers and sisters, holiness is very important. Holiness has taken on a connotation in modern times of Pentecostal groups or Quakers or Mennonites or Ammonites and all of these other type of ites. And whereas these groups do display their own form or understanding of what holiness is, the real deal has been lost in the fray. Okay? Being sanctified, being kadosh, or being in the state of kedusha means to be fully separated away from the wicked things of the world, okay, in order to be dedicated to the Most High for His use, okay, and for access into His presence, okay. Anything otherwise, He's not going to have in His presence. This is how we draw near to Him, okay, is by separating ourselves. Now, if you read the greater bulk of chapter 19 of Leviticus, you'll find that equally important, okay, equally important to being holy to Him, um, is how you deal with your fellow man. Please don't miss this, brothers and sisters. How you deal with your fellow man. You want to show someone the God that you serve? Show them and show the world by the way you treat your fellow man. Your fellow man who happens to be a Christian, your fellow man who happens to be a Muslim, your fellow man that happens to be a Jew, your fellow man that happens to be an atheist, even your fellow man who might have been uh, born Sarah and changed her name to Sam. I'm not telling you to embrace and hug sin, but I'm telling you to see the humanity, even if the image has been corrupted. See the uncorruptible image that the Most High has created us all in. Show that person your faith in God by the way that you treat them, and who knows, you can shake them. You can shake them out of their darkness, okay? And you can bring them into the marvelous light that you and I both enjoy now, okay? Um, One last thing before I let you go. In the book of Hebrews, okay, the book of Ivrim in the Brit HaChadashah, chapter 12, verse 14, I'm going to read you a verse from, first of all, keep in mind, a guy named Shaul. Shaul, who was a Pharisee, who was a Benjamite, who was an Israelite. Okay, so technically, no, Paul was not a Judean. Okay, but he was a Benjamite, a member of the small half tribe of Benjamin, and a little bit of a smattering of Levi that came back to the land along with Judah. The pedigree per se is not important. Okay, the point I want to make is that he was a student of Torah. So if anyone knew and understood what holiness was, okay, on what holiness is, he did, okay? Verse 14 of chapter 12 reads as following. Ridfu shalom im kol ha'adam. Ridfu shalom im kol adam. Pursue peace and or wholeness with all men, right? Next. Vegamet hakdusha, and also holiness. He says, pursue this. שבלעדיה לא יראה איש את האדון. Pursue this holiness, because without her, or without it, okay, kedusha is a feminine word, that's why it kind of reads that way in Hebrew. שבלעדיה, without it, Lo yir'eh ish et ha'adon. No man will see the Lord without holiness. So if anyone understood what holiness was and is, Paul did. So from the times of the Tanakh up until the time of the Second Temple and after the ascension and resurrection and ascension of Mashiach Yeshua, Paul pushed holiness. He pushed that holiness, and he knew that that holiness can only be gained by what I just read to you from the Torah, and that is to walk in the law and statutes and judgments of the Most High, to be obedient to his word. Yes, we have received a greater sacrifice. We've received a greater and a new covenant, all right? One that was better than the other one that faded away, right? Finding fault with them, not finding fault with it, the covenant, but finding fault with the human priesthood, all right, who were sinful, who had to make a sacrifice for themselves, okay, before they can make a sacrifice for the people. And then ultimately they died, okay? But we have that new covenant with a perfect high priest who was without sin, okay, and who offered up a pure sacrifice to the Most High. And now he is eternal in the heavens, sitting at the right hand in the position of power of the one who sent him, okay? And he makes intercession for you and I as both king to come and high priest. So, brothers, let's walk right before the eyes of the Most High, and let's show the world who we call Elohim or our God. Let's show the world by the way that we treat our fellow man. After all, the two greatest commandments, as Yeshua said, Shema Israel, to love the Most High with your heart, mind, soul, and all your resources, and ve'ahavta lerocha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. I'll see you guys all soon, and take care. Until next time.